Okay, everyone, Monday, the 4th of March, and we've got a lot to talk about on the Celtic Way morning briefing. I am Hamish. Tony is with me. Ryan's away to Hampden today, I believe. You're going later, Tony, but you live near Hampden. I don't know if I wanted or should have disclosed that kind of information.
That's all right. I think everybody knows I'm from East Kilbride, which is just down the hill from Hampden, so it's all good. All good.
Yes, looking forward to that. Anything to kind of take your mind off Tynecastle, I guess. How was yesterday?
I think if people watch the post-match briefing, they'll see my mood yesterday. Having slept on it, I'm slightly more philosophical, but I still maintain those two massive decisions that were a hindrance to Celtic, and I still can't see why Yang was sent off or the penalty was given, but they were. You can't change it, so it is what it is. I think there were some deficiencies in Celtic's game as well. Least of all, not being able to score from 12 yards, which is becoming a bit of a bind for Celtic. But hey, you can't escape those circumstances that led to Celtic's defeat yesterday.
Yeah, it's a tough one to kind of work out where you are with regards to yesterday. I think you're right to point out that the team could have played better. I think we had a number of players, mainly down the left-hand side of the team, who weren't up to scratch yesterday. You know, Maida, Taylor,
Yeah,
Scales, I thought were poor. Iwata in midfield, you know, for as good as he was in the previous couple of matches, I thought really struggled. We had a big chance at the start of the game to take the lead. You know, we missed too many penalties as a team. It's
yeah.
been a problem for what seems like a number of seasons now. And we've kind of got away with it in previous seasons because we've been, you know, so far ahead of everyone and so good. You don't want something like that costing you. We don't know if we would have won that game or even drawn that game yesterday. I mean, we lost 2-0, so people might look at it and say you would have lost 2-1 if you'd scored that penalty. But it would have been a different game. It was a big moment. I actually thought Ida was pretty good yesterday as well, and I thought in
So
the
did
second
I.
half he really kind of linked up well with Kyogo, but just a shame that he didn't tuck that penalty away.
It was a thankless task after Celtic was reduced to 10 men, wasn't it? You know, he's ploughing our own furrow, but he tried to make things happen. And I
Yeah.
think he was desperate to atone for his error. And I thought he did link the player well. And I thought Celtic actually came into it when Kyogo was on the field and created more. You know, Xander Clark had one of those games where everything just seemed to go straight at him, didn't he? And he saved it well.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not dressing up the fact that Celtic were poor because I mean they opened the game brightly, started very well, and got the penalty. And had they scored, it would probably be a different outcome. But you cannot say that those two massive decisions didn't influence the outcome of the game because they did. They were game-changing decisions, and I think the manager was right to call it out. And I agree with everything that the manager said because my point on all of this is that Don Robertson saw those incidents in real time, and he awarded a booking for the first incident in terms of Yang because he thought a booking sufficed, and it did. And then he didn't. There was no hint of a handball suggestion. Nobody claimed for it. There was no screams from the Hearts fans or players. So the only reason he's re-refereed those decisions is because he's got the wire in his ear from John Beaton in the VAR room. And I think that's what the manager was re-refereeing decisions from somebody who's not even in the stadium. The referee saw them in real time, you, and surely you should also be big enough and brave enough to stand by the decisions that you make at that time. Because I don't think any of them were clear and obvious. Do you?
No, that's what I'm going to say. Like, right, take the penalty for example. You've already pointed this out. Anyone, you know, don't do it now because you're watching us. But after this is finished, or get your phone out and do this. Watch the highlight of that thing, the Iwata handball or the elbow ball that leads to a penalty. There are 7 Hearts players within 10 yards of it. They're all right in with a great view. Not one of them even raises their arm as a, you know, to appeal for a penalty. Not one of them out of 7 that are right next to it, not one of them claims for a penalty, and yet we're told that that was a clear and obvious error made by Don Robertson, the referee. I mean, if it was a clear and obvious error, you think at least at least one of those Hearts players would have thought, well, that's a clear and obvious error. The fact that none of them saw it, but John Beaton, thought it was his place to chime in and direct Don Robertson basically to come to the monitor and give the penalty. I just found that one just a bit of a joke. Like, see if you watch that, like, and this is maybe a wider point looking at what football's become and the impact VAR is having and the whole handball fiasco that goes on in this game. But see if you look at that Iwata incident, like, how is that a penalty? How have we reached this point in football where a player off balance, not even looking at the ball, and nudged at the last minute, and the ball maybe hits off like his elbow or just above, glances off his elbow or just above, and that's a penalty to the opposition team? Like, how have we reached this point?
Yeah, I mean, that I looked at what the people involved in football, like Chris Boyd, said it wasn't a penalty.
Yeah,
Neil McCann also had a conversation with Neil McCann in the Tynecastle media room yesterday, and he said the big three calls that referee and VAR have got them all wrong. So we can't all be wrong, can we? So the only two people that are seeing something wrong with that are Don Robertson and John Beaton. Everyone else involved in football was saying it's not a red card and it's not a penalty. And I made the point as well yesterday. I didn't think Celtic's was a penalty either. The one that Celtic got, I thought that was highly dubious. I said to Ryan at the time, I'm not sure about that. And that wasn't checked, was it? That was just the straight decision that they gave. I don't even think that. Well, it probably would have been checked as a penalty, but there was no going to the monitor to distinguish whether. So I thought that was highly contentious. I didn't think it was a penalty. I just thought, I thought Yang maybe get slightly nudged and threw himself a bit. So I'm saying that there was three major calls in that game, and between them, Don Robertson and John Beaton have cocked every one of them up. So it's not just for Celtic. It's their incompetence for every club in Scottish football. But I watch Celtic, so I watch Celtic on a weekly basis, so I'm concerned with the decisions that affect, the club that I watch. And yesterday they were playing Hearts, and three major calls, and I wouldn't be surprised if the lines for Shankland's goal were wrong, and the one that was called off.
Yeah. See, even just in that, see the Hearts' second goal. I think it's the boy, is it Neuenhoff or someone like that?
Neuenhoff, yeah.
I think he's onside, right? But it's, if you actually watch the freeze frame, it's just inside the Celtic half for that second goal, the one that was actually obviously given that Shankland scores, and that's very marginal. And I have no actual confidence that VAR even looked at that. I know people say they're always checking things in the background, but we've had so many recent examples. Yeah. For example, Iwata, that penalty had been given yesterday, but our one at Motherwell last week, which is a much more obvious handball, not been given. Yang's yesterday, but a Motherwell player, I can't remember exactly who, with studs up in the face of one of our players last week. Again, nothing given there. So it's the consistency game to game is just mad. And the thing, we're not going to spend the whole video chatting about this, but the thing that frustrates me, there was a game recently, someone in the chat might be able to tell me, there was a game in Scottish football, I think recently, where a referee was told to go over to the monitor, and they ended up sticking with their initial decision. I think it was Willie Collum, but I could be wrong. But that never really happens. And yesterday, Don Robertson should have gone over to that monitor and looked at it and actually realised that's not a penalty. Surely he looks at that and goes, that's incredibly harsh to give that, and then doesn't give it. But it just feels like whenever they're told to go over to the monitor, that it's, what's coming. It's like a pantomime, isn't it? The minute, in fact, it's not even the minute he's told to go to the monitor. It's almost the minute they spend a bit of time looking at it, and you start seeing 3 or 4 replays. You're like, right, he's going to be told to go over the monitor, then he's going to give the penalty, and then they're going to score it. It just, what's going to happen.
There's an old Groucho Marx comment in one of his films, and he says, "Who are you going to believe, me or your own eyes?" Right? Don Robertson had the courage of conviction yesterday twice to say, "Do you know what? I'm sticking by my on-field decision. Thanks for making me check, but nah, I saw it. I know what I witnessed, and no to both. No red card, a yellow card sufficed, and no penalty." But he didn't. But that doesn't we'll also get on to talking about Celtic's performance. Hearts were the better team after that happened, after the red card. So I have no complaints about losing the game. That's not my gripe. My gripe is there was three game-changing decisions that the VAR and the referees got wrong. So it's Celtic were unlucky with those decisions, but they were poor after that. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't deserve to take anything from it. So I'm not saying that Hearts didn't deserve to win, because they totally did. But you can't get away from the fact there was two decisions that were largely contributory to that. I mean, that's what I'm saying. But I agree with you. The left-hand side of our team didn't function yesterday at all.
It's just there was no drive in that left-hand side. I mean, Maida's been well documented. Like, I love Maida for the work work rate he gives us.
Yep.
Can't even speak. But his stuff on the ball was a real struggle to watch yesterday. Really, really struggled out there to do anything effective with the ball at his feet. Some of his, like, there was one moment in the second half where he kind of cut inside, I think, and he had a guy in the overlap and he just backheeled it to a Hearts player, and you were just like, right, well, up the road. I pretty much turned my telly off at that stage. I didn't actually, but
it was a moment of showboating at 2-0 down, wasn't it? And you're thinking, like
it's not quite Christopher Iron. Christopher Iron, no look pass, 4-1 down at Ibrox. Not quite at that level, but yeah. Kevin, poor officiating yesterday, but I fear we don't have the fight to win at Ibrox, especially in the midfield. Pablo saying we were bad, but those decisions were critical. Hazel agrees with you. Tony, VAR not doing what I thought it would. Thought it was to assist the ref if needed, otherwise what's the point in the ref? There was no way we were winning that game. Maestro slagging off VAR as well. VAR ruined the game. Pablo again saying decisions change the whole dynamics, something Celtic need to address. Yeah.
My question to Brendan Rodgers yesterday when he sat down and spoke to the media, I know he'd spoken to Sky, but my question to him was, were Celtic going to make an official complaint about John Beaton? That was my question, because I thought it was pertinent, because he'd named him.
What did he say?
And this guy, and he said he didn't know. He said he would let the club take care of that, but he said it doesn't change anything, which I get. But I'm not a big lover of studying body language, but from the way he was talking, it wouldn't surprise me if he did. And asked and demanded answers on those decisions, maybe privately, maybe not make it public. But because he was very vociferous about Beaton, both on Sky, because he spoke to Sky first, and then he came in and he spoke to us, and he just he let everybody know how he felt.
Yeah, time will tell. I always wondered, what good that does, but yeah.
But I think just for their own satisfaction, as you say, maybe not make the results of that public, or if they do it, that's fair enough. But I just thought it was a pertinent question to ask, because
100%.
He really had a go at him, So
Rodgers was very critical, and I think the fact that he name checked John Beaton, I think, was quite significant as well.
Yeah.
He was very positive about the team's performance. I've only heard, I think, his BBC interview, his Sky interview, and maybe the first couple of questions of the press stuff you were at, but it seemed like he kind of was really, praising the team for sticking at it and showing all that. Was there anything else on that? And do you think, I mean, is he at it a little bit there? Is he continuing that siege mentality type thing? I mean, the team weren't great yesterday, were they? Far from it.
No, I think it was a bit of both there, just keeping everybody's spirits up and saying, and a bit of deflection in terms of maybe Celtic could have played a bit better, and he could have, did things to affect that. Once Hearts got their noses in front, and we brought Kyogo on at half time to try and kind of sort something out. And the Celtic looked certainly a bit better, and they created some chances. But again, I don't think they deserve to get anything from the game, Hamish, I've got to be honest. No. So there's not a part of me thinks they deserve to get anything out of the game. So, but I think there was a bit of both with the manager there, yeah, just kind of keeping everybody's spirits up and just, sort of saying there was extenuating circumstances why Celtic didn't win the game or were able to get a foothold in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Magnet wondering or he wants Rodgers to use it as motivation for the team. Tell them we must win the title and how sweet it will be with everyone against it. Again, as I've said, repeatedly over the last couple of weeks, not got a problem if that's what Rodgers wants to do and create that siege mentality of everyone is against his type attitude. The bottom line is you can have that attitude though. Celtic need to perform better. Yeah, and we need to stop doing daft things on the pitch as well. I mean, I agree that Yang's wasn't a red card, but equally, like, it was a daft to an extent, raising his foot like that, and Ida certainly missing the penalty was self-inflicted.
Yeah, I think it was reckless.
Yeah,
but I've watched a guy kick a Celtic player a week before,
well,
and
nothing
was done about
it.
it. And I've watched other instances of guys getting kicked in the head, and nothing's happened, or it's been a booking, or So there was a famous Giakoumakis one with Dundee United, where a guy nearly caught him in the throat, and there was no, nothing, and then others have been flicking up other ones today on social media, and you were saying nothing's happened there. So it's a consistency you're talking about, but I think the missed penalty set the tone for Celtic. You can't escape that. We were talking about, I think before we came on here, was it 5 and 10 or 9 and 14 penalties Celtic have converted?
So I think we've scored 9 out of 16.
Yeah, that conversion rate's poor, right? And it's poor when you consider, and you can like it or loathe it, but Rangers have a tried, tested, trustworthy, reliable penalty taker. People say, he gets plenty of practice. Fine, but you know where it's going when that man lines up, when James Tavernier lines up the ball from 12 yards. No messing on Saturday. Bang, top corner, bottom corner, you name it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't faze him. Because he clearly practices them as well. Because you can tell. Because he's just so confident, and it's just no problem at all. There is no... I mean, he very rarely misses even pressure penalties, So that was another pressure penalty yesterday, and, it would have settled everybody down, and Celtic have passed up those opportunities so many times this season. Hamish, that's what I'm getting at.
But in critical moments as well, like I was looking at
pressure moments.
Looking at the games earlier, and I think the 1-1 draw against Motherwell, Palmer misses a penalty. Obviously yesterday, there was Turnbull missed one against St Mirren, where O scored late on, so we got away with that one. But we've missed big penalties, and the thing about Tavernier is interesting because if he misses, he still steps up to take the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, as our issue is obviously that we seemingly don't have any good penalty takers, or certainly many of them, but as part of the issue that someone takes a couple, maybe scores and then miss, and then we just go on to the next one. Should we stick with Ida? Because to me, I know he missed yesterday, but Ida has looked like he has. I mean, he took those 2 penalties really well in Edinburgh, so I wouldn't be against him taking the next one. I don't know who else you would go to be honest. I know folk will say Kyogo and all that, but Kyogo's not taking one for Celtic, or he's I think he missed one last year. But
listen, players miss penalties, I understand that, right? It happens, but it just seems to be a problem for Celtic at the minute, and then you accept it. Once that penalty's missed, I think the ball gets knocked around, but Yang ends up getting sent off, doesn't he? Because it happens in the passage of play that follows the penalty, because the ball's knocked around and then Celtic win it back, and then Yang gets sent off. So, it's one of them. If you score that penalty, then that doesn't happen. But again, ifs and buts and all that. But I can't understand why Celtic struggle so badly with penalties, because see, when they started struggling, then you have to think that, well, we need to practice them, and do they practice them? People will probably say that they do, but and I think Ida took those 2 penalties really confidently Easter Road, and put them both to corners, didn't he? And he tried something different yesterday. He tried to get down the middle, didn't he? And he didn't get the connection right, and he didn't get the lift on it. And people were saying, he did. Yeah, he did the right thing. No, he didn't do the right thing, because his penalty was criminal. It was a terrible touch. You look at the actual penalty, he doesn't connect with it at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's trying to dink it or do the Panenka or try to be too smart. You know,
Too smart.
too smart.
And same with Palmer was too smart, and
Yeah. So
Turnbull when he missed his. So it's like I just would love someone just to come in and confidently put it into the net. None
yeah.
of this down the whatever happened to like someone going up and just sticking it in the bottom corner or the top corner. None of this down the middle and stuff like that.
Tommy Gemmell. As
Yeah,
those people who remember Tommy Gemmell taking penalty. But yeah, I mean, he didn't even connect with it. See if he slams it hard and the keeper dives and guesses correctly and saves it, fine. I've no
yeah.
issue with that. But see that trying to be too clever or too smart or dink it and not connecting, and I have an issue. I have a real issue with that.
I know we've already covered this, but I really actually quite liked his second half performance yesterday. I just thought he was a real outball for us, and I saw I saw new parts of his game yesterday that I haven't seen so far. I mean, we know, he's clearly a good header of the ball, and he knows where the back of the net is so far at Celtic. But yesterday I saw bits of his game that I've not seen before in terms of that running. Like, he was quite quick at times. He was really backing into the Hearts players and holding on to the ball. So for me, him and Kyogo, there was a few instances where like one of them would step over and then get the ball back. And I was watching that amidst all of the frustration, thinking, yeah, I'd quite like to see these two play right next to each other up front. I'm aware I kind of flip flop from wanting that to wanting one of them playing, but I really thought they looked like they had a pretty good relationship in that second half. I know they both missed good chances, especially Ida, but I thought there was positives there in that second half.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the two of them and I'm like you. I think they could both do a job side by side
Yeah.
in a front pairing. And yeah, I'd never ever felt at any time yesterday that Celtic were going to score. Did you?
No, 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 no.
I mean, in the odd foray that they went up the field,
There's no
it was
conviction.
more. There was more hope than anything else. But so I think the penalty in 43 minutes just really deflated everybody. You see, if you go in at 0-0, then you are going to give it
Yeah.
the 10 men. Well, you're hoping to get the 10 men fighting spirit and they nick it, 1-0 themselves. But I think the penalty just right before half time just deflated everybody. And I think what was more disappointing me, Hamish, was I think they were kind of resigned to their fate after that, sadly, and
Yeah.
never came out the blocks the way I would have hoped in the second half. And then 56 minutes, I think the second goal was, wasn't it? So that's it. The game was done. And for me, it was about not getting a tank in then, the 10 men not getting steamrolled. And, I just, that fighting spirit was lacking for me once they went down to 10 men and once they conceded the first goal.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I'm conflicted again slightly because like the team did keep playing and we like had
Yeah,
some good passages of play in the second half, but it's more just the kind of the battling qualities of the team in
yeah,
terms of like making it difficult for Hearts. I felt that was missing. I just felt you look at the goal Hearts are disallowed. The second one, Iwata gets caught. That was really poor play from Iwata. Like, he took far too long. You could see it coming a mile off, but
yeah.
like it was in slow motion, wasn't it? Like, he had so much time and he just dilly dallied and gave it away. And we got away with one there. Forrest
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
took slightly
yeah.
too long to play the pass, but the second goal as well was just really sloppy. It was just quite easy for Hearts, and I think that adds to the feeling that it was just all a little bit too easy for Hearts yesterday. The big picture though, and it's something we've not discussed yet in this video, is that we're pretty much in the same position as
Yeah.
we were before the weekend. Okay, we're a goal further back. It's I think two Rangers are maybe plus 50 or 48 and we're plus 46, I think. But it's pretty much the same situation. And maybe on Friday, if you'd have said you'll be 2 points behind, given that we were going to Tynecastle and they had Motherwell at home, you might have gone, okay, let's move on. So that's where we're at the moment. What's your overall take? 9 games to go before the split?
My, my overall take is that it could have been worse. Yeah,
And
you were
better.
and better. I don't
That's
think
life.
anybody would have predicted Motherwell and Hearts winning this weekend at all.
Yeah.
So, and then Celtic, and that was the thing. On Saturday night, you still had to go to Tynecastle and win. That's what disappointed me most.
Yeah.
Yeah, was it taken out of their hands? It kind of was a bit, but I expected a wee bit more. That even when they went to 10 men, that wasn't a 10 men to me on that display that was trying to, that was going for a title, Hamish. That's what I mean. That, as you say, there was good passages of play, but I just thought that the passages of play were more in hope than expectation. I've seen
Yeah,
a
I'd agree with
10 men.
that.
I've seen a 10 men Celtic team really rise to the occasion and go hell for leather and give it everything. I would question that yesterday. I know the manager said they gave it everything, but I was thought a wee bit more blood and thunder about it all. And people
Yeah.
will tell you, the famous 10 men won the league game against Rangers in '79. I was looking for a bit more of that. Maybe
Well,
I'm just
remember
an old
Rogers led us
traditionalist.
to
Yeah.
win at
Ibrox.
Ibrox with 10 men in the 3-2
Yeah.
game. So
So
yeah,
I wanted a wee bit more of that, and I just didn't see that. But with 9 to
yeah.
go, they're still in it, Hamish, bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah, you're really looking. What we get 4 games before the split. Obviously, the derby's the third one, I think. We've got St Johnstone at home, Livingston away, and St Mirren at home, I think. So those 3 games, other than the derby, all have to be won, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
There is no margin for error, and avoid defeat at Ibrox. If that happens, worst case scenario, we're 2 points behind them going into the split. They've still got to come to Celtic Park. I think, given where we are at the moment, that's maybe something you would kind of think is not too bad a situation. They've still got to come to Celtic Park. It's very much in our hands. The fear for me is, having missed the opportunity yesterday at a hostile Tynecastle, it's going to be even tougher at Ibrox. And if you lose that one now, and they win their other 3, you're 5 behind. At least going into the split, and that looks much tougher than 2. Let's just say. So we're really, the next games up until the split. We can't afford any drop points against lesser teams, so to speak.
Celtic have got to go to Ibrox at least 2 behind, right?
Yeah.
Got to and
avoid defeat.
And avoid defeat, right? That's
ideally win.
Yeah, and ideally win, and that's basically. People say, it's 1 game at a time, don't get too far ahead of yourself. Listen, it could have gone to 5 at the weekend. You could be back on top at the weekend. Neither transpired. So you're thankful for what actually did happen. There's no ground being lost, is there? So...
No, yeah.
So we just got to dust yourself down and move on, and somehow, as you say, win the games before the split and before they go to Ibrox. Got to win every one of them.
I mean, what other option is there but to look forward? And we got a comment in there from James saying, delusion again. That was our chance to push on and win the league. Not going to happen. Just be honest and stop trying to make excuses. So James has that game yesterday down as us winning and pushing on to win the league, or not winning and the league basically been over. Like it doesn't have to be all or nothing. We can look at the weekend as being a missed opportunity, but also something that could have been a lot worse. We're still in with a fight. I wish we were a point clear. Like, I think yesterday was a real missed opportunity. I thought after Saturday we would go to Tynecastle and win, but equally, like, let's not look at this and write off our team's chances. I mean, we're 2 points behind. They're clearly going to drop points across the city based on Saturday. They've got their European stuff coming up as well, which I think personally will have an impact on their domestic stuff, but we just need to eradicate those kind of results yesterday.
I think both sides showed an element in theirs, didn't they? Good old-fashioned Aristotle.
Yeah.
Good old-fashioned Aristotle. Bottle, aye. It was down bound to bottle.
They had Motherwell at home with 11 men and lost.
Yeah. And were given a penalty to get back into it, and every opportunity to go and seize the initiative in that game. So, and I wrote last week that it's going to come down to good old-fashioned bottle and, the squeaky bum time, and see which of the two can handle it best. None of them handled it at all at the weekend. And so both of them will think they've been handed a reprieve, won't they?
Yeah.
So, Celtic know what they have to do, and all this kind of siege mentality and everybody's against you. So yeah, we get all that, but it has to manifest itself in results now. Every time you think you've turned the corner or things are looking up, you just get slapped in the dish because of a substandard performance. And that was another one on Sunday. Granted, there was extenuating circumstances for it, but we never deserved to win it. I've got to be honest. So
that comment about them being bigger bottlers than us has certainly riled a few Rangers fans in the chat, so my work is done there. Good to see. Pop back in May while we're lifting the trophy. Appreciate it. Right, I think we're going to head. Good way to finish. Big thanks to MPH Group, who probably don't want to be associated with me anymore, but hey ho, they've got no choice at this point. Plumbing, heating, kitchens and bathrooms, Navian as well. The promotion they're still running. Thanks to them for promoting this. Do you want to say anything else, Tony, so I'm not the final comment bamming Rangers fans up? I love to do that, and I usually come out on top. So
I think you've nailed it. I have to say, I'm going to clap that. So well done, fella. Yeah, good on you. We'll see. We'll see everybody in May, won't we? Basically, see what happens.
Correct. Right. Thanks, Celtic fans, for tuning in and discussing the game yesterday. We will be with you every day this week, and maybe a wee bit more as well at the weekend. We do play Livingston this weekend at home in the Scottish Cup. So we've got a wee break for a couple of weeks from the league, which is, I guess, nice to a certain extent. So we'll build ahead to that game probably from tomorrow onwards. Speak to you then, everyone.